ago, I believe. And so we're not going to be talking about growth hormone replacement, but bear serum replacement therapy.
Yeah.
So basically, I can't believe that this study hasn't been done sooner now that I'm looking at this, but
Yep.
scientists noticed that bears, they don't move, they sleep all winter, and they don't seem to lose muscle mass.
Lots of beige fat as well.
Yeah, lots of brown active thermogenesis.
Brown and beige both.
But we know that when we put people in a hospital, if you're in a hospital on a ventilator or even just laying around with pneumonia, which if you have pneumonia, you shouldn't be laying around, you should be trying to get up and stay active.
Yep.
But we know that people decondition and pretty rapidly. You see the same thing with astronauts, even when they are intentionally training, trying to maintain muscle mass and cardiac function, atrophy occurs. And they're like, why is this not happening with bears? And I guess they picked bears because, when I hear the word hibernation, that's the animal I think of, but we know there's other smaller mammals that are probably easier to collect serum from.
Yeah.
But they're like, we're going to pick bears.
They're better at hormesis. They're built different.
Absolute units.
Yeah, definitely built different.
Yeah. So they collect the bear serum. And an important distinction is that if you take the bear serum during the summer, it doesn't work. But I guess I should back up to what the actual experiment is. So this is in vitro. So before this becomes a TikTok trend and people start Googling bear serum for muscle growth, this is muscle cells, human muscle cells, but they're in a petri dish.
Yep.
And when you apply the winter bear serum to them, you see an increase in muscle size. Doesn't work with the summer serum, so whatever factors are shifting bears into hibernation probably are triggering the production of another factor that is protective or is anabolic for muscle. And they don't know what the factor is. They just straight out said it. They said there is a factor. So there's a mystery factor in bear serum that we're looking for, but it's a really interesting chase because there's so many different applications. If you look at any kind of muscle wasting disease.
Yep.
So something that I'll keep my eye on. I don't know what the timeline is on solving that mystery, but I thought that was a really interesting study.
Yeah, I like that study a lot. It kind of reminds me of a medication known as ursodiol, or UDCA, basically TUDCA without a taurine attached to it. But that was originally found in bears as well. The U stands for ursa, or bear. And I don't know if they actually used to use the refined bear bile itself, because it was a bear bile acid, or I believe a company out of Japan figured out how to synthesize it, and now I believe it's an AbbVie product. But it's used pretty frequently within both like medicine for cholestasis or cholestasis of pregnancy, and in bodybuilding as well.
Yeah, these things get parsed out, and you find out like, oh, this is happening in nature. How can we get this one specific target? Because really, that's what medicines are trying to do, is target one specific thing. It doesn't work very well most of the time. There's multiple targets, but when you find out a certain factor that is present in nature has an effect, how can we make it work in humans? And then, how can we make analogs of this that might work even better? That's generally how that process goes. So, interesting. These products come from bears. I actually don't know how they would be. I guess you have to sedate the bear and then draw blood off of them. I don't think the bears are lining up to donate their serum.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I suppose they use this in zoos. That's one potentially good application of zoo animals, not to get into a whole ethics discussion.
Yeah, and what if we find out it's just all the polyphenols in the berries they were eating all along?
So.